So, in the first picture that I viewed was the town hall in Munich, Germany. And what I noticed in this building was that there was lots of points on the building, lots of contour, very old school, something you don't see in America very often. People wandering around, and the old brick and marble that was on the building and what the building was made of. The arches also at the bottom of the building, uh, those were there were plenty of those along the ground. In the first song that we listened to, I noticed that it was a polyphonic texture. This means that there is a lot going on, overlapping of voices and such and sounds. Um, Instruments were playing different parts in this uh, MP3 clip, so the different instruments that were playing were the violin and the harp were the key instruments. What I noticed was the comparison between these two was that in the building in Munich, uh, that obviously had a lot going on. So there was a lot of points, a lot of extra windows and architecture, and this song was a polyphonic texture. And so that means that there's also a lot going on in the song. And the way that I view this is that we compare them by saying both this building and the song have a lot going on, therefore you can see the polyphonic texture in the building as well as the song. The second building that we viewed was the U.S. Supreme Court. And the U.S. Supreme Court is something that you see more often in the United States. You view that building, and if you're from here, you can almost tell that that's a governmental building. It's a very classical style, something you see more often in the 1800s, not something that's built today a lot. Very plain building, large columns, all white. Very symmetrical building, though. Very simple. You can see that both sides are very similar. You could fold that building in half and they would equal up. The large staircase is also something that I noticed right away, was how big it was in the front and almost to show the size of the building. In the song that we listened to, the second song, I noticed that it was a very straightforward beat, but it was very organized. And when we compare that note to the building, we're saying that also this building is a very organized building. It's a governmental building. It's, like I said, very plain, straightforward. You look at that, if you're from the United States, you know what it is. The second song was a homophonic texture, which means that in homophonic texture, it means that it is very clean and concise. And just as the Supreme Court building was in the picture, very clean front, very simple, not a lot going on, like there was a lot going on in the town hall building in Munich, Germany. The instruments playing in the second song, it was a full orchestra. It was violin, cello, and the vita. To sum this project up, I would have to say that one of the most important things I learned was obviously the goal of the project, which was I never understood that the different textures that we find in music also relates a lot to the buildings. Because in classical music, the sounds and the instruments are all one and an integrated thing, which is very similar to architecture, whether it's a lot going on and you have a lot of different variations to the building, like a polyphonic texture, or if it's very simple, like a homophonic texture, they all find a way to correlate and go together and to make a really nice masterpiece, such as classical music or a very old, dated building that still looks amazing to this day.